Women on Wealth is proudly sponsored by First for Women, celebrating leading women.
And welcome to Women on Wealth. I'm Nozi Pombandra. Today we're delving into the world of finance and investing. Now, historically, societies around the world excluded women from matters relating to finance, but this is fast changing. We're now seeing females taking charge of their wealth and their household incomes. Significantly too, we're seeing a rise of women leaders in financial and investment institutions. Of course, with any service-providing industry, there exists various challenges. Let's take a look at some of the trials women face as well as the opportunities within Africa's investment landscape.
Aarti Takoordeen, thank you so much for joining us here at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Aarti, over the last decade, the role of the CFO has changed or evolved. What are some of the contributors towards that?
I think definitely increased globalization and advancement in technology has brought business under threats like we've never seen before. And so, of course, business leaders and business operations require very different outputs from their finance counterparts. In the past, finance was seen as a back office information generating function. Today, it's moved into business partnering, one single trusted business partner role, strategic enabler role. And so the output is largely taking that information and creating value out of it. And it's distinctly shifted to a cohesive front office, almost facing business partnering role.
Even with the vast progress women are making within the business field, one can't help but notice the obvious lack of female leaders within the JSE listed companies. You can count them on your hand. What are the factors that are contributing towards this lack?
I think it's largely, Nadira, a global trend anyway. At least that global trend has ticked up in the right direction of late. It's probably a legacy attributable to history that we're dealing with. And certainly we need to be more conscious at management levels to promote diversity, because with diversity comes strength in numbers and growth in business, really.
The financial and investment space globally remains a male-dominated one. Would you see this as a challenge or an opportunity for young women out there?
Again, I think the trend is moving in the right direction, especially with the EU taking the lead in terms of gender rationalization policies, etc. And so opens up the opportunity. I definitely think it's an opportunity, to my previous point, of women leadership and just increasing diversity and unlocking growth.
As CFO of Africa's largest or leading stock exchange, ultimately what legacy would you like to leave behind?
So moving into a space of business value add, strategic enablement, being able to do the CA career and the finance professional career, a justice in adding to that positive view of the business partner and the evolution of the CFO is definitely one of my priorities. Also, in terms of the JSE, definitely living a life of significance and adding back to the greater or the real economy in South Africa.
Aarti, for a young woman in South Africa or in Africa looking towards a career in the financial and investment field, what advice would you give to them in order to pursue such a career?
We need to expose our young graduates, and even at schooling levels, so both schooling and tertiary levels, pre and post schooling, expose them to the industry, to the financial services industry. I think for participants in financial services industry, we take a lot for granted in terms of our niche technical genres and know-how in this industry. It is a well-kept secret to a certain degree across industries. I think exposure younger at schooling levels would be great. My advice to women is not to get caught up in the technical subject matter expertise, and rather embrace that as a challenge and an opportunity to learn more in greater aspects of the industry.
Now, earlier this week, Ipeleng Mkhari, co-founder and chief executive officer of Motseng Investment Holdings, gave me her insights. Ipeleng, thank you so much for making the time to sit down with us on Women on Wealth. If you could describe the phenomenal business success that you've had in a few lines, how would that narrative read?
It's been challenging. It's been very challenging, Nozipo. It's, I think when people look at it from the outside, what they see is you know, the lights and the glamour. And to be very honest, I mean, I've been at this for 17 years. Started very young, and the rise has been a long road, and it's a journey. It's simply not something that happens overnight. It's taken a lot of hard work, and my narrative would be, you know, challenging, very rewarding, yes, but challenging.
Let's lash on to that word, challenging. What was the biggest challenge? When, at what point in the journey did you think, maybe I need to put my briefcase down, take these stilettos off, and just walk out? You know, in 2009, 2010, I really had a rethink about what I was doing. I started in 1998, and I had been at this journey for so long, loved it, and when I started, I was very young. You know, I was under 25, and therefore everything was amazing, everything was exciting, even the challenges were fun. Right. And I think when it got to around just post 10 years, the question was, am I satisfied with what I'm doing? What had changed from the initial stress levels, commitment? Business had grown so much bigger, and I took a year off, and I think it was the best thing that I did, because I was moving in and out of the thought process of maybe I should just move on to something else. I should still have my involvement in the business, but not be executive and not be operational. And I needed to step back for a good year. It sounds like you got to a point where you had to change gears. How is Ipeleng different from Ipeleng in gear one to the Ipeleng that emerged after that reflection period? I'm substantially a different person. You've got to remember that Ipeleng in gear one, whether gear one means at the beginning or Ipeleng at her utmost kind of, you know, beginning stages, I'm a different person. You know, when I started this particular business, and this is what I communicate to a lot of young women and men in business, is that typically if you start young in business, you really have got so much to play with. But as the years add and you have so many more commitments and responsibilities, you need to be able to assess whether this is what you want to do. But I've loved being in business. I've moved from being very operational, very hands-on, to being a CEO of the organization. And I've seen myself shift and change, but I've also in my personal capacity changed in so many other ways. I've moved from being a single woman to a married woman, from, you know, not being a mom to being a mom. And those things affect who you are. But there's a lot of assumptions that you're shattering right now as you speak, in particular that in order to be at the helm of an organization and to be running at the pace that you're running, that being a mother and being a wife isn't consistent with that particular journey. What's your experience been of that? First of all, my experience is that it's every woman's journey. It is different, woman to woman. Secondly, I think it really is an assumption. And until you're in the thick of it, what I've found in my own experience is that you can do all the things that you want to do, but a lot of things need to change, and you need to have the right support systems as a woman. And it depends on how far you want to go. There are women who have 6 children, run major corporations internationally. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. What crutch or tool do you think has been invaluable to making sure that you keep ahead of the pack as you have? What is it that you think is totally indispensable? So absolutely critical, brilliant people. Have great people around you. No business succeeds with the person at the helm alone. So this is my journey, is totally not about me. It's about the people that I have grown in this company with. Have the right team, you know, out and about with you, killing themselves every day for this brand, for the goals that you want to achieve. And in doing that, Nozipo, at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're actually delegating and you are communicating a message which everybody wants to achieve. Is that something that women struggle with? Picking the right skills and talent to take with them and letting go of skills and talents at times? No, I don't think women struggle with it. I think that it's being a manager. I find that it has been quite an interesting journey for me to learn how to be a manager.
I've been in business ever since I left university. So I've taught a lot of what I've known. I've taught myself. I've gone on courses and so forth. But managing a business and owning a business are two different things.
Yeah.
And so managing a business requires Ipeleng to understand that Ipeleng, you're not good at everything, and therefore you need skilled people who will be good at everything else. I don't think women are specifically not as good at identifying great talent. I actually think women are brilliant at identifying great talent. I think that entrepreneurs are not that good at letting go. So it's not a gender issue for me at all. I think it's about men and women alike who've started things and who believe this is my baby, find it very difficult to give someone else their baby.
Let's talk about vision, Ipeleng, going into the future as we wrap up this interview. Should we be back on the couch 5 years from now? What kind of conversation do you think we're going to be having?
I think 5 years from now, I'd probably be at a different level in my organization. I would certainly want to see the growth of other parts of my interest pool. I don't know what those would be at this stage. I absolutely love and am committed to Motseng Investment Holdings. We have a number of businesses in our stable that are keeping me very, very involved. But if there's one thing that I've thought about many a time, that is, I am not necessarily the only person that is suitable or the perfect candidate for this role. What does it look like when I'm not that person in that role? And therefore, I think it's a very important conversation to have, and my team knows, I say it all the time. I may not be the CEO in this role 20 years from now, and we need to think about that today. So constantly being able to rebrand ourselves and change in this very, very dynamic environment, globally and domestically, is absolutely important. And as long as 5 years from now I've been able to manage change, Nozipho, I think I would have done a lot.
Ipeleng, only a pleasure. Every week we bring you a phenomenal woman flexing her muscles in the global arena. Let's take a look at today's phenomenal woman.
Currently serving a second term as Nigeria's Minister of Finance, economist Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is perhaps also recognized for her various roles within the World Bank. During a term as Finance Minister, she implemented the system of publishing each Nigerian state's monthly financial allocation from the federal government in newspapers. This strategy helped increase transparency in governance. She also played a pivotal role in helping Nigeria achieve its first sovereign credit rating from Fitch and Standard & Poor's. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, redefining power in the global financial arena.
On that note, we've come to the end of this season of Women on Wealth. We hope that we've achieved our aim of offering you a little bit of insight from remarkable women that we've featured on the show, and maybe too given you some of the tools needed for women to continue their rise in the business world. Of course, I'd love to keep the conversation going with you, so let's do that on Twitter @NoziPombandra, and let's keep the hashtag #Wow410.